My name is Alex Rushmer. I'm the chef owner here at Vanderlyle restaurant in Cambridge, UK. Vanderlyle is a vegetable-focused, plant-forward, relaxed fine dining restaurant. Today I'm going to be showing you a mushroom dish. So I'll be doing a stuffed morel dish with pickled shiitake mushrooms, roasted king oyster, a mushroom reduction and parsley oil. We use mushrooms a lot in the kitchen here because they bring a lot of flavour to the veg-focused menu, but also great texture as well. There's also a huge variety of mushrooms to use, so we're going to do about 4 or 5 different mushroom preparations on this dish today. It's a combination of king oyster mushroom and a stuffed morel. Morels are my favourite mushrooms to use. I love the flavour, I love the texture. I love that it's something that people don't necessarily cook or eat at home as well. It's a very chefy ingredient. So we'll start by stuffing the morels. This is a stuffing of ricotta, a little bit of egg, a touch of flour just to thicken it, and a slow cooked duck salad mushroom and a tiny bit of truffle, plenty of black pepper. So we'll stuff these, and then these will be steamed for 4 minutes. It's my favourite mushroom to cook, the morel. I think it's so meaty, I think it's incredibly delicious, really, really savoury. King of mushrooms. So these have been pre-cooked. These king oysters have been blanched for about 10 minutes in a mushroom stock. That changes the texture completely. So we're going to pan sear those, cook them in a little bit of butter with garlic and thyme, and then a stock which is going to reduce around it. So we've got a nice hot pan for the king oysters so they caramelise, and then a slightly cooler pan for the morels. I'm going to season the pan, the oil that morels are going to cook in, but we'll season the cut side of the king oysters. I'm going to cook these presentation side down. It's just like cooking a protein. Quite a nice hard sear on those. Push them down. Get good contact with the pan. The cross hatching on those helps with the caramelization, and will allow the flavors of the thyme and the garlic and the stock to get into the mushroom as well. Morels, slightly cooler pan. We don't want as much colour on these, we don't want as much of a sear. It changes the texture of it. These morels, they just start to glisten up ever so slightly. And the smell on these is fantastic. They're kind of earthy, a little bit meaty. And morels have so much flavour, and also a great vehicle for flavour. To go alongside it, we've got a mushroom puree just here. This has been made with button mushrooms. Again, a massively underrated mushroom, I think. The button mushroom is fantastic. We use it as a base for a lot of our stocks and sauces, but also purees. Delicious as a soup as well. And this again is button mushrooms, but this is done in a completely different way. So this is like we call this a reverse duxelle. So instead of chopping all the mushrooms up beforehand and then cooking them slowly, we leave the mushrooms whole, confit them in oil, and then drain the oil off. And this is a preparation that we use. We use it a lot. We use it to stuff pasta. We use it as the basis for sauces. We use it as the basis for stuffings. In this instance, we've added a little bit of truffle, and we'll just quenelle that onto the plate. Nice caramelization on the king oysters. We'll let the other side get a touch of colour. So to the morels, this is garlic. We left the skin on, but we've just crushed it. Touch of thyme, freshly picked this morning from my garden. same with those. And they caramelize really quickly. They're pre-cooked. They're pre-cooked in the stock, so they cook up really quickly. Just roll these little guys around, and then we're going with our butter. Just keep an eye on it. We don't want it to burn. Noise that slightly. This we don't really want to colour at all because it's a different cooking process. This is going to be a glaze. This is more of a sear. So the butter's melted in here. This is some white wine, dry white wine. Now the liquid's in, we can increase the heat. We want that to cook off rapidly. And then in with these. This is a vegetable stock. So we'll let these both cook down. And the morels will glaze up. So we cook this wine right out. We don't want any of that alcohol in the sauce. We don't want any of those harsh acidic flavours. We just want the aromats from the wine, really. And the garlic and the thyme is in infusing that as well. So the flavour of that is going to go into the wine, and then the glaze will go into these all these beautiful little holes that the mushrooms have. They hold on to flavour incredibly well. You see, this is almost down to a glass. So now we add our stock to this one. It's a mushroom stock this time. And what we add to the mushroom stock is, so when we make our jus, a mushroom reduction, when we pass that for the final time through a cheesecloth, we get a lot of the sediment from the solids. They get stuck in the cheesecloth. We add that to this, which means that the sauce adheres really well to the mushrooms. We start off with quite a rapid cook. So we're concentrating all the flavours, basting and glazing the morels. And one thing you have to watch when you're glazing like this is that the sauce doesn't split. So we have quite a lot of fat in there from the initial cook with the oil and then with the butter. What we're going to try and do is make sure that these are glazed properly without the sauce splitting. I think it gives a slightly greasy texture, a slightly greasy flavour if the glazed sauce splits. So try and avoid that. That's also come down nicely. Flavours in there are super concentrated. We'll turn down the heat just so they tick over. Keep turning these around so they get evenly cooked, evenly coated. The second dish is all about flavour. It's all about creating big, bold flavours and showing that it's possible to create those deep, sort of meaty flavours that people expect when they have a tasting menu, particularly at the sort of main course stage of it, and to show that it is possible to do it with things like mushrooms. I think it's really exciting. You can see the sauce really reducing now. We do this, we keep moving the pans. It helps with it helps hold the emulsion, it helps stop the sauce splitting out. Almost at glazing consistency. Reduce the heat. What we don't want is all the liquid to evaporate, and then if the heat is too high, we end up with caramelization and a slightly bitter flavor on the morels. So this is all about preserving the amazing flavor, the amazing earthy flavor in the morel mushrooms. Go. So beautifully cooked, nicely coated. Let's put these to the side to rest slightly. It's a great dish for service as well. So we can have our mushrooms stuffed, pre-cooked, steamed, ready to go, and then when the dish is cooled away, we can start cooking the mushrooms. We put about 10 minutes on the clock before the mushrooms are ready, and that's about how long it takes them to cook. So start with our duxelle. So that's the button mushroom truffle duxelle. It's the button mushroom puree. I really like using luxurious wild mushrooms like morels and truffles, and then pairing them with something that's so familiar like a button mushroom. King oyster. We'll choose the prettiest morel. Some mushroom reduction. Made very much like a classic veal jus, but instead of using any animal products, this is all vegetables. And for freshness and a little bit of color, this is a parsley oil. So that's our main course. That is a ricotta and truffle stuffed morel mushroom, glazed king oyster mushroom, mushroom puree, mushroom and truffle duxelle, mushroom reduction, and parsley oil. It's a dish that surprises people, that delights people, that I love to cook, and is actually quite simple on the plate, but contains a lot of complexity within the individual elements.